finding the right people, that is the right people the organization needs to achieve its goals. So it's gathering a group or a pool of qualified people to choose from. The process that they can choose from is also known as selection, whereby they will select people that have the right skills and the capability to get their roles. So selection on the other hand, I discovered is a part of the recruitment process too as well, whereby the people interview decide which candidate or applicant should be appointed. After interviewing them, they'll now decide on who to take and who not. So there's many stages according to the textbook. Like 10, I saw like 10 stages, like one defining the requirements needed, such as their experiences and so on, their job experience. Number two, ways of that attracting the candidate, ways of asking them to make sure that the people that they employ are also people that are interested in the goal. Their goals are also aligned together. That is the goals of the organization is also aligned with the interest of the organization. So number three, let me just go through it. 16 is sorting out the people that they would employ, the people they will call, and people that they will keep on hold, or people that. So number 4, the interviewing process itself. Interviews of one or face-to-face discussion between the HR people employee and the employee. The interview process talks about where there will be hard skills, which could be structured or unstructured. Then number 5, that means they will test the abilities, that's the KSA, the knowledge and the abilities of the employees to be sure suitable for the role that they are being interviewed for. Assessing the candidates. Sometimes they'll call them, they do just see how they would handle the situation. Then they will obtain references. That's after they have tested them. Then they will invite the candidates to come assess them. Number 7, obtain references. Number 8, test processes. Like the application form will be filled, so they will have to be sure if what the road or field is the same thing as what they really have. So number 9, offering appointments or employment letters. Then number 10, if necessary. So then I just want to go through the last selection method that there's just one method that struck me. It is called the classic method. That means number 1, they go hand in hand. They apply for jobs, whether online or physically with letters. Number 2, the interview process itself, the selection, they will collect their references. So that's the little for now.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Mr. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
All right. Thank you very much, Ogolua, for that brief and review. Fidelis, Harrison Fidelis, can you hear me? I called you earlier while you are trying. Sammy, what's your contribution from the chapter we studied for the week? Let's have 2 or 3 things you took away from the chapter. Oh, Sammy is out. Network. Okay, Sammy is back. Sammy, let's have you. Wow, internet is throwing him up. Toby Thomas, your turn. We have the next 9 minutes to do this. Toby Thomas, what's your takeaway from what you studied during the week? I hope it's not that people joined and left their phones. Femi, Let me hear your voice as well.
Hello, sir.
Oh, okay, Sam.
My network just put
I can see
out.
that. Go. Okay. Sammy is out again. Wow. The network must be pretty bad. It's coming in and out. Femi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, so from my understanding, recruitment has to do with identifying the gaps, advertising, then picking the right people with the right qualifications for the role, and also getting or finding ways to encourage them to give their utmost best to achievement of the values of the organization. And there were other things that were listed in the outline, but I didn't get to go through all of them yet.
All right. Thank you very much. Sammy, you are back. Do you have one or two things to say? Wow, he's been thrown out again trying to talk. He's back. Out again. All right. Who else? Susan Omoyade. Let's hear from you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Yes, so talking about recruitment and selection. Yeah, so it has to do with when it comes to recruitment, for you to recruit for a particular position, or you have to first of all find out the gaps where there are lapses, then you start to do your recruiting process. So the recruiting process involves trying to get the requirements, the requirements for needed to fill that particular role. And it talks about attracting the candidates you need, then also assessing the candidates, then interviewing and doing testing for recruiting that position. Then we also talked about, I went through and I was able to find out some things on recruitment, which was different means where you can recruit for candidates. It could be via social media, it could be advertisement, it could even be internal, you could do it within to find recruitment for the positions that is available. Then I also went through what else again? I think those are basically the information or the ideas I have about the recruitment that I read during the week.
Thank you very much. The reason we do this is to check our understanding of principles and theories, and by contributing, our colleagues can always learn one thing or the other. Then it also helps the facilitator to understand how much of understanding we have from what we have studied. Then the facilitator may be able to come up in a very practical manner. But let me welcome officially Mr. Gabriel. Mr. Gabriel is my oga, but let me just read his profile. Mr. Gabriel Akomolafe is an experienced HR specialist. He holds a Master of Business Administration degree in Human Resource Management from Lautech. I guess that's the first point of encounter with Mr. Gabriel. Then HND in Business Management from Lagos State Polytechnic, and he's a certified human resources expert as an associate at CIPM. Mr. Gabriel is a principal partner at Blegab Consulting with over 20 years of work experience in human resource management, spanning the quick service restaurant, pharmaceutical, telecommunications, healthcare, manufacturing, and business conglomerates sectors in Nigeria. Gabriel Akomolafe has established himself as a highly skilled HR professional of repute. Gabriel began his professional career in 2003 as a human resource officer with Sweet Sensation Confectionery and grew to the position of assistant manager HR by 2008. Gabriel continued to improve his HR expertise as the HR admin manager, Big Fish Hotel Group. In this capacity, he handled recruitment, fleet management, protocol services, travel, expatriate quota administration, and HR operations. In this role, Gabriel had strategic HR responsibilities, including medical administration, payroll administration, recruitment and selection, industrial relations, training and development, performance management, as well as workforce planning. He joined leading mobile telecommunications provider Slot Systems Limited in 2014 after pathfinding Isalu Hospital Limited as HR Quality Service Manager, where at various times he served as HR Manager and Group HR Manager. By 2017, Mr. Gabriel became Group Human Resource Manager at Reddington Hospital Group, as well as a Director in Blegap Consulting, having responsibility for leadership development, talent management, succession planning, talent retention, career development, and management of specific talent intervention programs, including the specialist career path. In this role, he successfully worked on the development and deployment of key HR strategic projects. The solution was designed to foster a sense of ownership for career management among employees and deploy targeted career development interventions. This afternoon, can you please welcome with me my friend, my professional colleague? We've been together for quite a while, Mr. Gabriel Akomolafe, as he takes us on recruitment and selection. Please, let's welcome Mr. Gabriel. My organ, the floor is yielded, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. K. Good afternoon, everyone. The floor is going to be mine in the next. Yeah, the floor is going to be mine in the next 20 minutes. I will allow you to ask me questions unlimitedly, as we look at what we have. The functions of HR are not limited, and therefore I can summarize it to be like 17 functions or 17 factors. But out of these, we have carved out recruitment and selection. I will not be touching placement, induction and orientation program. That is meant for another person. So let's limit ourselves to recruitment and selection today. And we have a lot of perspective about it. You know quite well that there is no specific definition. So when we want to view it, it is plethora in nature and it is multidimensional. But let's come to time that we can see that is relatively meaningful to you and to myself. Please, let's move to the next slide and look at relationship between recruitment and selection. So someone will say that recruitment is all about process of finding people to work for a company, whether public or private company. In the process, simple process of finding good people. Some people will call it talents. All we want to say is that we are finding people who can do the job. Why selection refers to the methods used to choose the best or most suitable candidate for the vacancy we have identified at the beginning of our process. The process that you can use to pick the best among innumerable applicants. Picking the best among them to do the job is what we call selection. So it means recruitment and selection go together, but one is the beginning, while one is the ending. And that ending is an input to another process. Let's go to the next slide, sir. So looking at recruitment and selection, there are stages that are very important for us to understand today, or to expand the horizon of our understanding in today's discussion. Now, there are 10 stages of recruitment and selection process in its entirety. The first 6 stages make up the recruitment process, while the last 4 stages will make up the selection process. If we take it one after the other, we will have broad understanding and knowledge of how we should do our recruitment and selection in the best way. Let's pick the recruitment subset. Number 1, identify the vacant positions. Identify the vacancy. That's number 1, which is very important. A lot of time in practical, you HR person may not be overburdening yourself in a very large organization. The head of department is going to ignite that request, telling you that I want to request for this person. In that requisition form, do you know that the person is expected to write to us that this position is new and justified? Or the person may tell you that I want to feed up a kind of replacement to someone who is playing a strategic role in the department and who is in the process of exiting or who has exited already. So HR manager is not the almighty. He is a coordinator who is working with other users' department for the purpose of identifying vacant position. Number 2, carry out a job analysis. In the process of you trying to analyze the job we're about to recruit for, you will get to know, is it new position or old position? Is that going to be amendment in the functions of the job order? What and what do we really need? Because if you do not know what you want, you will hire rubbish. So it's important to know what you want. Number 3, create a job description. When you do analysis of the job, the next thing you're going to do is job description. These are the job items that we expect whoever we recruit to do for our organization. We are doing this one because we don't want to do try and error, rule of thumb. We want to do a scientific job. A doctor will not enter into the theater and be doing a guesswork. Never. You must know what you want to go there to do. Is this appendectomy or you want to do cesarean operation? What dimension do you want to use? Are you going to work alone? Who are the people to work? You don't do try and error. We are already better than that level. So next one is you create a person specification. It is part of my job description in my company to create that specification. Whoever is going to do this job, that person must be of these characteristics. Qualification may be there, experience requirement may be there, KSA will be specified. I don't mean King Sunny Day. KSA means knowledge, skill, and aptitude. So you match it with a job description. It's part of my job description. A lot of time we have 2 pages. We go to the next one. Advertise the job. You know we have several open doors for advertisement. We have several channels to advertise. So do your advert carve out and send out your advert. In the process, you'll find out that people begin to respond. Okay? Now, you will have unlimited. For example, you need a chartered accountant. When you do advertisements, only one you need. You see 50 people, responding to your advert. Send out application forms and request for resume is very important. And you have to give the data that will be easy for people to comply. Sometimes people will give us email that will not be easy for us to send something to. Or some people may not give us enough support in sending the applicants of people into that forum. So that is that. All these I put together for the purpose of giving us a broad understanding of recruitment. Let's go. We go to what we call selection. Collection of the resume is important. And a lot of time, those of you on this forum who are professional, when you collect people's CV, you will still worry yourself about the cover notes, application letter, okay? Or application form, depending on whether you're asking people to fill a form and to do some write-up, or you've given email to which people are sending their details. Now, you create a shortlist. You must know what you are doing before you can shortlist. This is very important because in the process of shortlisting, some people, if you are not well focused, you will be confused, you will be distracted. So it's very important to know what you want to go for. A lot of people are not qualified for whatever we have sent out, but yet they have responded, okay? And we don't need to get angry at that, okay? But in some cases, if it is on LinkedIn, I want to post a kind of recruitment advert. What do? I will set a limit to which if anybody is not qualified to an extent, their CV cannot come in or will never be recognized. Let's go. Hold interviews and the necessary tests you want to do. A lot of people believe that there are several tests you can do here, different kind of tests. But what is important is let your test be centered around the requirement for the job or the major job to be done. A lot of ceremonies here for those who are practicing HR who are not well grounded there. And that is why we see quacking in HR up to today. It is not enough for you to have associate, chartered institute of personnel management. It's not enough. You must have experience. You must have worked with people who know what they're actually doing. So let's go. You hold interview and the test, then you inform successful candidate, that, oh, congratulations, you have made it to this level. Then those people who have not made it, let's go to the next slide, sir. Those people who have not made it, you are under obligation to send a letter to them. Sorry, you are not making it or you didn't make it to the next level. Nevertheless, if there is a room for them to reapply in the next 6 months or a year, you can tell them. If there is no room for that one, you may suspend that one. But it's important if somebody has done well or otherwise during an interview, you must ensure you communicate with them. That brings about professionalism on the part of the HR expert who is conducting recruitment and selection process. Scope of recruitment and selection. Dealing with the excess or shortage of resources. This is very important. Who are the people involved there? Then what are the resources available to you? This is important, all right? So that's number one. Number two, preparing the recruitment policy for different categories of employee. Remember, if you have a typical organization, the way you go ahead to recruit for the medical director in the hospital setting may be different from the way you are recruiting for nurses. If you have a hotel and resort, the way you go ahead to recruit for your caterers, your waiters may be different from the people at the executive level. So you must get a policy. And in this policy, sometimes you have policy as side A, you will have procedures at side B of whatever you are drafting. Now, the next one is analyzing the recruitment policy, processes, and procedures of the organization. This is very key. You can't do your things the way the others are doing it. You have to put a professional touch on it. Identify the areas and where there could be a scope of improvement. In your scope of recruitment and selection, you must understand where we need to attach improvement dots, which will automatically, as you do your job on a daily basis or as you do your job periodically, you are getting better at all time. You are not where you were 3 years ago. Streamlining the hiring process with suitable recommendations. This is also key. If you don't have parameters to which you want to accept people in or disqualify people, then you are likely to make type 2 error. If you still remember in statistics, type 2 error is accepting what is to be rejected. And we have to be very careful about type 1 or type 2 error. A situation whereby people to be hired are sent away, or a situation where people that are hired are not the best hire. We must be very careful of the type 1 and type 2 error in the process of recruitment and selection. Let's get to the next one. Choosing the best suitable candidate of recruitment for effective hiring of resources. This is part of the major reason why we are trying to be scientific in our actions. We know a lot of us are experts, but most of the time when you don't have guidelines that is guiding you written down, we are prone to error. And that's the major reason we don't want to rely on the expert judgment by not putting the processes and procedures down and follow it dogmatically or follow it with jealousy. So this is very important. Let's go to the next slide. I don't know if I am rushing too much. If I'm rushing, somebody should ask me to stop. But I want to give opportunity for every one of us to actually ask me questions or
hello, Mr. Gabriel.
give me observation at the conclusion of the presentation. When you look at it, the first one is somebody says something like that.
Sorry, Mr. Gabriel.
Want to say something or
Jadi. Susan, go ahead, please.
Okay, I wanted to ask a question. You talked about for the people that would not be shortlisted. But is it mandatory that we have to send them a mail or a message to tell them that they were not shortlisted or we are not moving forward with them?
As far as I'm concerned, I by my opinion, opinion of an expert is important, but it's not a law, and the process of working for 20 years, I have opportunity to work with the white guys, and particularly the people I work with who are from UK, they overemphasize it that it's so important in UK. Are you getting me? But in Nigeria, we don't count it to be anything. So I have come to a term that it is important to inform people if you are really a professional. Sorry, you didn't make it to the next level, all right? You may try next time or you may prepare hard next time or something. It's very important. And I remember as far back as 13 years ago, I wanted to work with Excellence Hotel. Mr. Jenny Okeni was the man who interviewed me. The man should be a bit older than our level by 15 years. And he did not just tell me that I didn't make it. He also called me to tell me the mistakes I made. I appreciated it very well. But we may not go ahead to tell people the mistakes they have made, but we need to tell them, you are not successful, so that they can continue searching for better opportunity. But if you just hang them, they have hope. A lot of people, they have attended the interview and they believe they have done well. And a lot of time, the employer, the recruiter will say, we will get back to you so time, or we will let you know the next step of action. So if you promise that you will let them know the next possible action, and you do not take any action, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, is not making you to be professional enough or to be exposed enough in the world of HR. But it's not a law that I've read in any book. All right? I don't know if you follow me.
Mr. Gabriel, thank you very much for that, sir. I just wanted to say that we have gone away from the days of personnel administration or personnel management. Yes. Now we deal with people, and we're in the season of people and culture. And that's what you call employer branding, right? When people to you, they are talents. The fact that they did not succeed at this time does not mean they cannot still succeed. As a result of that, you must establish an ongoing relationship with them. Not make them feel good. For that, the fact that they did not get a job with you does not mean that they should feel dejected. So it has become the norm for those of us that are practicing in a particular generation for us to say, you know what, you must keep the communication line active. And I'll tell you, the reason you may not employ someone today may not be because the person is not good. It may be because of vacancy. Maybe because of the number of vacant positions. And that person will still be useful for you in the next 6 months. So you need to establish that relationship so that when next you reach out, the person will not be like, who is this one that is just connecting with me? So it's an opportunity for you to build relationship with candidates. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that contribution a lot. Thank you. Immaculate, I want to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say something, yes. As regards workplace and culture, I wanted to say, sending back messages to prospective applicants, telling them that they were not successful. Isn't the message a bit vague? At least it needs to be specific as to the reasons why they were not successful, so that at least they can know that, yes, the HR person really paid attention, or their CVs were really scrutinized, and these are the reasons, so as to get them ready for the next job. So as also for them to also be better and also, you know, correct their mistakes. It's kind of a constructive criticism, so they can also improve in their quest for jobs in future, instead of making that mistake over and over again and getting the same response, same vague response that, okay, they were not selected for the next stage and all that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, and I want to say that there's no chance for litigation if you tell somebody, oh, you're not successful and these are the reasons. No problem about that. When we get to a level where we can talk about when you know some things about the applicant and you cannot still tell them, we'll let you know. For example, a situation whereby maybe you want to employ somebody for a certain role, and at the level of even doing a pre-employment test, all right, you discover that that person is there is not just hypertension now, but maybe there's something like
hepatitis B, HIV.
Yeah. So you can't tell them the reason, you know, that it's because of HIV positive, hepatitis B, A, B, C, D. You know, you may be silent about that. All right. So because I've seen cases whereby somebody said, the reason why I'm not employing you is because you are HIV positive. And if you look at that kind of a job, there is not. Government will support people to employ. For example, unit accountant. It's different from somebody who is a caterer in the eatery, you know. So we must also understand when you are giving people feedback, you know, the type of feedback that cannot be given and the type that can be given. Maybe there's the opportunity for us to discuss that one in another day, just to ensure that we protect our company, we don't expose it to litigation. All right? Should I move on, or there is other contribution?
Please move on, sir.
So let's go. You say?
I said you can go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So, as well. Okay. So, identify the vacancy, carry out the job analysis. We've done this one. Let's move to the next one. I've explained this one to us, and I believe we understood that one. Right? So, also, this one is not a major problem. Now, let me tell us one or two things here. Okay, let's go through this one. Then after that, I will tell you one story. Then you can now begin to respond. It is increasingly possible for recruitment and selection to use technology than never before. Okay, it has really helped us. Do you know that I started HR in the day of when you want to invite somebody for an interview, you will print out your letters. You will take it to the post office. You will send it to Port Harcourt, Abuja, you send it to Ibadan, wherever. Apart from that, I've used bike to distribute more than enough letters. When, in those days, when I was in Street Sensation, if you want to employ, what I am saying is strange to some of our young, brilliant generation of HR gurus. When you want to, at that time, when we want to employ auditors, unit accountants, restaurant supervisors, you know, the unit manager, outlet managers, and some other key officers like quality assurance officers. When you want to employ them, you are going to print out letters. You must put the house address, Abule Egba, Okokomaiko, Oshodi, Apapa, Ikeja, Olowora, and we will use dispatch rider to distribute those letters. If we want to employ caterers, maybe we need like 50 caterers. We need like salesmen and sales girls, like 50. We will write to churches, mosques, and some other institutions, letting them down schools that on the 19th of November, we are going to have serious interview at NOIC, Charlie Boy Bus Stop, Bagada, Lagos. And we pull out, we pull crowd like 2,000 or 1,200. And we will do weeding. We will weed people, the first time before we start the recruitment, selection process proper. But, some of us, internet, has really gone ahead to help us. All those stress we go through that time, you are no longer going through it. And I congratulate those people who are a bit younger and they are doing greater things in HR today, even for some of them on this forum. Let's go. So, technology has really helped us. Computers could be used to create job adverts. Internet can be used to advertise job vacancies. Do you know that applications are often filled out using an online form or online platform? A database can be used to store information on candidates applying for positions within a company. You also need to understand, or we must all understand, that video conferencing on a PC or a smartphone could be used to conduct. Do you know that even the COVID-19 taught us a lot of lessons? Because COVID-19 really forced us to understand and move forward. We don't have to do physical, face-to-face like before. even though there are some roles or there are some interviews at the final level, you need to put the face-to-face, with. An online test or assessment can be used during the testing stages in our process of selection. So technology, we can't do without it. It is really enhancing our performance. It is really supporting our performance, and it is helping us to do the best we can do in the world of recruitment and selection as part of the major functions of HR as at today. Let's move. And I know that let's move, sir. I know that one thing or the other that we have really encountered in the process of making HR practice to be better, taking HR practice from the hand of the bloody admin managers or people who are not well cultured, okay, people who are just quackery, taking HR away from them is a very serious matter as of today. And I want to say, in the process of recruitment and selection, there are a lot of challenges, okay, we are likely to face. Maybe I shall allow Oluwafemi to talk before I talk about 3 major challenges that I want to add to what we are doing today. Oluwafemi.
Yeah, Oluwafemi, sir.
It could be Raja. Do you want to talk?
Okay. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, Femi, go ahead.
Okay. You said some of the challenges that we face as recruiters.
I want to talk about them now. Do you want to mention one before I tell you the 3 I have in my brain?
Okay, sir, let me try. I think one major challenge is identifying the best candidates, even after you've done all your selection process.
Very good. Possibility of error, even after you have followed the chronological sequence of required action under recruitment and selection process or standard, there's still this possibility of error of rejecting good people or error of accepting bad people. And that was what I mentioned as type 1 or type 2 error. Is there anybody who want to mention one before I go ahead? Okay, let me go ahead. What I want to say may now lead you into what you want to say. Now, if you want to look at, despite the fact that we have algorithm for recruitment and selection, despite the fact that we have chronological sequence of required action to which if you perform, you will do well in sourcing for the best candidate to do a job in an organization, we still find these challenges confronting the recruitment and selection in a bigger picture in Nigeria as of today. I say in Nigeria because what I want to say, my friends in UK and Canada may not 100% be applicable to them. But we are working in the Nigerian environment, and that is why most of the time, even if anybody is to join us here in HR, they usually measure it getting someone in America to come and run a department here, HR department here. You have to look at it. Is that person acclimatized with the modus operandi of our HR structure around the labor law? Yes or no? These are the things you need to know, right? Because if you do not know the environment, you cannot drive very well successfully around the area. It is when you know the area very well, the local area, you can drive very well and you will not take one way. So let me say, one of the major challenges in HR under recruitment and selection today in an holistic manner is institutional imperfection during the production of the graduates. A lot of the graduates who are in the industry today, they are half-baked people. If we employ them, we must still go ahead to recruit because to train them. And that's the major reason why a lot of HR gurus, they usually require numbers of experience, require numbers of years of experience before they employ anybody. And a lot of young graduates are asking us, HR leaders in Nigeria, if you say you do not want someone who is a fresh graduate, where do you want us to get the experience? Do you want us to steal it? So institutions in Nigeria, they give us half-baked graduates that we can employ to do our job. Is a serious problem or challenge that is facing HR practitioners in Nigeria. Number two, peculiarities of the industry. Each of the industry we belong, we have some things that are particularistic about them. If I tell you healthcare, all the good people, or a lot of good people in healthcare, they have traveled abroad. We have shortage of personnel in the healthcare as of today, where we have made up our mind that we do not want to use community health, that we want to use a registered nurse, we want to use a double qualified nurses. When you do not have them, what do? So you keep on recruiting freshers who do not have required experience. They at the end of the day now look as if HR personnel, they are the one who are not engaging the best hands. Best hands are not even on the street. They are not in the country. Therefore, you go for those who are freshers and you have to struggle to train them to get to the level where they can give you quality service. So it's a challenge. We are sweating seriously, but it all depends on your industry. Nevertheless, if you do not want to talk about healthcare, let's talk about beverage, okay? Food and beverage industry. How many of the engineers you will get from school today, you will not still give your time to train? Hence, Nestle, Cadbury, some other businesses, they are saying they want to employ people, they call them management trainees. They give them 1 year or 2 years serious coaching and mentoring before they allow them to mount any good or man any good position in an organization, depending on how good they are. So, peculiarity of the industry, you will find out that some industries, the way they are today, people who can actually match what is required are not very many. So it is very related that we have challenges. Now, another thing I want us to understand is the management support. We may not talk about this on this forum, but again, when we now meet it, we now look and say, recruitment and selection. Do they give us a required support? All right? There is no internet facility you want to use that will not cost you no matter how small, right? Or Even if you do your advert free, there are some other things you need to do with money. So a lot of time, management support is not enough. And that's the major reason why we need someone who can go ahead, and perform certain functions, even if the management support is very low. Are you very, very giving to discretionary? Are you innovative enough to do certain things, even though the support from the management is not enough? So thank you. I rest my case until you ask me questions. Okay, over to you, the coordinator.
Right. Thank you very much. In practice, right, there are people that we celebrate ourselves and we recognize people who have gone ahead of us and we appreciate them. And I want to celebrate Mr. Gabriel. We've known for quite a while, and I've had some of the people who are work in my team, and I've had one or two people from my own team work in his team over the years. And I can tell you that he's a good man, and he's a man that knows what he does. Now, this gives us an opportunity. If there's any area in HR that I know that people almost have problems, it's in recruitment. So can we begin to speak to some of the practical challenges you are faced with at work? Probably you have one at the moment. Can we begin to speak to them? And while I wait for you to make those contributions, has any one of you ever had problem recruiting or bringing people in because there's no opportunity for growth in your organization? Has any candidate ever mentioned that to you? If any candidate has ever mentioned that to you, how did you get over it? Because like he said at the beginning, there are several functional aspects of HR, and no particular functional part of HR is a standalone. And I guess I've been saying that since this class began, that look, HR is a continuum. The output from one function is input to another. So you cannot say, I don't care about that. So have you ever had anyone turn down your offer because the person feels that there's no room for growth? Turn down your offer within the first 3 months, left you. If you've had, what was the challenge? Or how did you resolve that challenge? If you haven't, what are the current challenges we are having? Because that's the reason we have this opportunity for us to talk. So who is belling the cat?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. And good afternoon, Mr. Akomolafe. My name is Kyle.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, sir. A challenge I have in my organization is man no man. Now, what
yes, go ahead, sir.
I work in an heavily politicized environment, whereby I work in a bank, but it's owned by state government. That means a lot of decisions that we make are being decided by state government officials. So we would have the best candidate, and one chairman or one commissioner will come and say, employ my staff. There was one candidate that was imposed on us. Like the man said that he will not, because it was on the board, he said he will not approve anything that the department brings to the table, because we did not employ his staff. The person recommended. The person did interview, the person overly failed 100%. But then they said we have to employ this person. So I had the guy who eventually became talent. That failed 100%. The guy was free. But fortunately for the guy is not talent that he did well. But during the interview stage, he not doing the test, he failed in the interview, he failed 100%. But someone that was higher than the chairman imposing on us. But eventually, when he came in, he became someone that was actually good. He became someone that was very good for the department. But during the interview period, it was not at all. So that's the image that I have. Like, people imposing employees on us that are not qualified. So thank you, sir.
All right. I don't know if Mr. Carr, they want to say something about that, but let me say something. There are many times that we HR experts, we fortunate or unfortunate, okay, to be in the midst of those people who are forcing the HR system to be quack. If we were in that case, and if we're in that position, we need to understand that we have to use our brain and we have to use our mind. Now, if you go against certain management, decision, they may fire you, right? So there are a lot of good things you may have at the back of your mind. It's good you know it, because when you get to where you will use it, you will use it. If where you are at today, it is man, no man, sometimes it is difficult for you to change it. Therefore, you just manage. But very, very soon, you will be out of that place to a place where you can actually practice without favor or godfatherism, nepotism, or kind of favoritism. Let me stop and allow Mr. Akade to contribute.
Thank you very much, my Oga. One of the skills you need to learn as an HR professional is the ability for you to play corporate politics and play it well. And one thing you can't take away is the fact that the management is the management. As long as they are not telling you to do anything that is unethical. I always hold this notion. Some people may not agree with me. Nobody is untrainable if given the right support. Nobody is a bad employee all round. The person may be a square peg in a round hole in HR, but the person gets to admin and the person becomes a square peg in a square hole. Number one, like Mr. Gabriel said, when the management has given you instruction, you can't overly refute it. The best you can do is for you to ask for documentation. I don't know about you, but if there's anything that I know God has helped me to do, I will deliberately send an email capturing specifically what I was told verbally to say, oh, I just want to confirm, sir, that you said A, B, C, D. Can you kindly confirm? The moment you say yes, the reason is simple. When there is trouble, if there's ever one, you have something to shield you. That's number one. Number two, most times, like from what you said, that there was someone that failed the interview and the person eventually turned out to be a very good employee. Then it makes me to begin to question the process itself of interviewing that person. A lot of us always fall in the trap of having one size fits all. But Mr. Gabriel said it earlier. My modality and method for acquiring executive talent is different from the modality I'll use for getting cleaners. It's different from the modality I'll use for getting entry-level officers. It's different from the modality I will use for getting managers, middle-level managers. We need to go back and rethink what we do. But if you are in government, I have been in government before, and I have known how people from Abuja will send people to our institution to say, look, employ this person. All we try to do is, what are the things that have been documented on paper? The person must meet the minimum requirement. At least you know they won't do anything below that. As long as the person meets the minimum requirement, go through the due process. What's the due process? The due process says you should organize the interview. The person should write. And because they want the person to get the job, the people interviewing must have been given the information. Because as HR, I'll tell you, if this person fails on paper, it is impossible for me to prove it. So the people at the interview stage will begin to do all they need to do. But the most important thing for you is your boss has spoken. You cannot outrightly say no. The only reason you can raise an objection is if the person does not meet the minimum requirement. And if your boss still says go ahead, get your boss to document it, so that when there's an audit or an investigation, you will not be held accountable for what was not your own decision. That's the best thing I can say to you. But that you won't get that. Bros, forget, it's not just in private. It's not just in public. It happens in private institutions as well. And me, I always say to people who had worked with me, there was a place I worked, I said to them straight, whatever the MD says he wants, we will do. But we have this minimum expectation. And I sat down with the MD and I said, look, if you recommend candidates, we will recognize the candidates. But please make sure that the candidates you recommend to us do not fall below this standard. And my MD said to me, one of them said to me, look, the fact that I recommended does not mean you must employ. So we got it very clear. So you need to know clearly what the expectation of your boss is. Once you know the expectation of your boss, let your boss understand your own expectation based on policies. Once the two of you have an understanding, whatever happens thereafter are operational and process issues. For me, that's the best way. But learn how to play corporate politics and learn how to play it well, provided it's not bordering on ethical malpractices. As long as it's not bothered on ethical malpractices, I guess we're good to go. Well, that's my own position. Someone else on this call may have a different opinion. So maybe one or two people can also contribute. What do you think about this? Anyone? All right. While we wait for anyone that may want to talk, do you have any question? Share your challenges on this particular process, and let's see how Mr. Gabriel can assist us and one or two other people for us to be able to get through. The reason you are part of this program is to also get your skills sharpened and be able to gain access to timely counsel on what to do and how to scale through whatever challenges you are having. So if you are ready, you may want to share the challenges you are having or you have had, and you want someone to just guide you. The floor is open.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, sir.
Tina, please go ahead.
Okay, so I want to know how to. I want Mr. Gabriel to share with me how let's assume that where he's currently working, they're creating a new system in place, or maybe they're opening a new brand completely. How would he feel, or how would he build a talent pool that would cater for about 100 to 200 new people in less than a month or maybe 2 months? That's my first question. Second question is, what are the practical ways that we can build employers' brand, like the practical ways we can do that, especially when the employer's brand is not so attractive as it used to be. When it's when the review of staff and people that have left the system are not so great. So how do we manage that? How do we build that? And then how do we change it for the better? Thank you.
Now, I got the first question, but the second one I didn't get very well. But if Mr. Kyle did get, maybe we'll react to it. Is it possible to let me get it clearer, or I should go ahead with the first one?
Okay, sir, sorry about that. What I was asking is, in a situation where the current employees within the system, and then the people who have left the system already are spreading bad reviews about the organization, and then
Okay.
through the space and you're trying to build the employer's brand. What are the practical steps I can take to ensure
Okay. All right. So let me say that that first one, I'll just share my experience with you so that will automatically answer your question for number one. When I was in Street Sensation, we used to have 12 branches. That was the era of fast food booming. Talking about year 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was a booming time for the business. So when we wanted to open Alagomeji with 140 workers, because a lot of people do not know that we have as much as 140 workers as at that time, because they just see us in the afternoon operation. We also have operation at night. So in the morning, you have like 80 workers on site. At night, you have like 60. So therefore, when we wanted to open, we just declare the vacancies on an exam. Oh, we need unit controller, we need assistant unit controller, we need 2 auditors, we need 4 restaurant supervisors, we need 1 unit accountant, we need 14 sales ladies, and there should be 2 salesmen there. We need 40 caterers. We need, bakers, 12 or 14. So after declaring that one, we used to have a lot of opportunity to pull crowd. Like I mentioned, NOIC Bagada for the junior staff. And for the senior staff, we used to advertise on paper. And when you advertise within 7 days, for example, apart from the fact that we have a place we call management of applicant pools, whether we need workers or not, we ask people to send their email, their CV to that email. That one alone, somebody is working on it because we will have gotten a lot of CV there. Apart from that, we will advertise in Guardian paper. I can't remember whether anybody is still advertising vacancies on Guardian paper anymore. So our recruitment is always in 3 stages. The first one is to weed. The second one is to do the preliminary, interview where we'll talk with them. Second one will be you have to write, right? And the final one is nothing but our MD want to cite you. We used to start from 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. at Olowore at that time, conference hall, till like 10 in the night. Because our MD must cite everybody. Okay, so that is that. When we now have enough staff, we would have to have their training for a week, and after that one, they need to go and do practical. We would get like 20 workers from the existing workers whom we will post there, the experience already. And out of these 140 new hires, we will now use 20 people to replace those old people. After we have done that, then we will now share our staff into branches. Oh yeah, you 10, you 4, you 11, depending on how bulky is each branches, depending on how solid is the operations. And after the 2 weeks practical, all these people will return back to the conference hall at Olowore, where we test what they have learned so far. For those, as at that time, we can still disqualify people. So for those people who have done very well, we'll post them to the branch. Before we open, we will do a kind of practicalization for like 3 days. So when the day we want to open comes, people are ready, prepared. Nevertheless, we'll bring like 10 experts, okay, who will be around. Even the owner of the business, Mrs. Olu Sholaka Kamsen, will be there, serving people on the queue, all right? I'm in a class. We'll soon round up now. I have not seen Gani. So sorry. So people will be on queue, all right? And as they're on queue, even the owner of the business will be serving people. So we'll make sure that the crowd will not overpower the people that are coming to buy on that day. It's the same pattern you're going to use for your company, all right? It's the same pattern, right? Whether you have 20 people that must man that branch, or you need 100 people that must man that branch. And this thing is done within a month, all right? But nevertheless, let all of us have the idea of having a mail or having a kind of portal where people can drop their CV, even when you do not need people. As at the time there's emergency, you need people. If you go there, some people you call them, they say, oh, I've gotten a job. I dropped that thing there 3 months ago when I was troubled and I need a job. So no wahala about that. So that's that. Now, let me talk about the second one. All of us, I said we want to tell lie. We experience this every day. A company where you work, they don't pay on time. All right? You will find out that people are getting to know about the information. People are getting to know about the information. Now you've decided to rebrand your company. Few people are in the company, they are not happy with the company, or they have this negative notion about the company. Some people, they have worked there, they have gone away, and they don't have good memory of the company, and they don't have a good testimony about the company. You get what I'm saying? So, if you look at this situation, if management had decided to rebrand, if you pay them late before, continue to pay them early, those people who have been talking against the company will be talking in support of the company. If it is that you don't have anything that has to do with welfare, start to introduce something little by little, people will begin to, and apart from that, we expect HR department to begin to start the crusade of rebranding. You talk to them to staff, you have pep talk, you have meetings, you tell people this was where we were before, this is where we are going now. And of course, we won't jump there, but a new time has started. HR will talk, the owner of the business, they have village meeting or town hall meeting, you know. So when people are talked to, and at the same time actions are following all this thing you are talking, people will have new perspective of your company. It is very easy. All what it takes is the support from the top management. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other question?
Yes, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. All right. So mine is not really like a question. So we talked about recruitment and selection, but we did not talk about the metrics in recruitment and selection that as HR personnel you are supposed to track. I know that for the other ones that we spoke about, we usually talk about some of the metrics. So, and I know that the metrics in recruitment and selections are very important because they help us to know how we are doing as a business. So, I would love it if we can talk about the metrics and if there could be some guide on how to track it for people that are just coming into HR. And also, my second one is not a question. Mr. Kolawole promised that he was going to tell us a story when he started. He said he was going to end the discourse on a story. He did not tell us the story. So I was waiting to hear the story, but the story never came. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. There are several parameters we may use to grade our people that we want to employ, right? There are several, you know. Of course, it takes someone who is very smart to know that to know how to get the evidences of those parameters. It takes someone who is smart, you know, Because if you list 10 points, that these are the things you want to look out for when you want to do your interview. If you say that these are the things you want to look out for, all right? If you are not smart enough, you may not be able to get the evidence you want. Let me try and talk about 10 parameters, okay? But beyond having these parameters, you need to be smart enough in order to get the evidence, okay, that you need in getting the best workers. Number one, sometimes you look at educational background and knowledge of the job. Educational background and knowledge of the job. You may rate that. Number two, work experience. Work experience. When I say knowledge, I am going to differentiate knowledge, KSA, you have from the experience, the hands-on experience, okay, on the job. Number two. Number three, technical qualification or experience. If you say you are HR manager and you study HND business administration, I may tend to say that in the job you have done before, what are the difficulties you have met and how have you overcome them? So that is another one. So technical qualification or experience on the job. I may go further to say verbal communication. There's no job you do, okay? How you communicate is very important, all right? The next one, you may look at the candidate's interest or motivation. What motivates them to do their job? Is it just money? Is it all about extrinsic factor or intrinsic factor? So what motivates them? Where do they get their motivation from or their interest? You check that on the candidate. What of the knowledge of the organization? If somebody is to work for you, you have invited the person for about 4 days, and here is the person at the interview, and the person cannot tell you one or two things about your organization. It means the person is not a researcher. The person may not be able to scan the environment for the purpose of making the organization to be better. Another one is team building or interpersonal relationship. I know those people who are technically sound, but when it comes to interpersonal relationship, they are zero. Those people will be giving you a problem. Today, we will do disciplinary panel. Tomorrow, we will do a kind of warning, query, things that we do not want that. In America, one man said the money you make in any endeavor is determined by 15% of your knowledge and 85% of your ability to relate with fellow human beings. So interpersonal relationship is another factor. Another one is initiative. I don't want somebody who will be asking me 100 questions as HR officer under me. I don't want that. You must be able to use your brain. So it's another, and there are a lot of questions you can actually ask people to test whether they have initiative or not. Time management. You will, even right from when they are coming to the hall, if anybody is to come late to the hall where you want to do your interview, such person needs to apologize, all right? Apart from that, when you talk with someone, you will know whether this person bothers about time or timing has nothing to do with him. Outstanding customer service, individual, and regardless of the job you need to do, individual must do customer service. If you have that aspect in you, you'll be able to do your job well. And finally, you may also look at it that this particular person you want to interview, or this particular person you're in the process of interviewing, what other things can we really look at, such as personal presentation, all right? Some people come for interview, their mouths are smelling. Some people come for interview, and if you want to employ them for the customer-facing job. You know, apart from mouth smelling, you have to have beautiful face, personal presentation, you know, being handsome or being pretty is very important. In my company as of today, if you don't speak well, we won't employ you. If you're not looking beautiful or looking nice, we will not employ you. And finally, we also check the color of people. If you are black, black. If you're white, white. If you want to be dark, dark. If you want to be, you know. So we are very keen in the presentation or appearance of people. So those are the 10 or 11 parameters I can remember at the moment. And that will be sufficient, or you remove some or you patch some. That is that. The second question you ask me, can you still remember, remind me again? Or that's the only one?
Okay, it's not actually a question.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
when you started
So
your
you about a
discourse, you said you were going to end it with the story.
Yeah.
You were going to tell me the story.
Yes, yes, yeah. Thank you. The story is all about the applicants. It's not about the recruiter. But most of the time, when we get to talk with the applicants, we get to know who are they. So, this particular person, you know, came back from UK. He is 37 years old. His name is Mobolaji Koka. He lives around Lekki. He was invited by one of his friends. Of course, he's a father of one and is married, happily married. He was invited by one of his friends to attend redemption camp, Holy Ghost service. So he left that Lekki. He drove toward Ikorodu Road to Ojota to Bega. After Bega, there is a particular bus stop. That particular bus stop is called Opik bus stop. When he got there, you know, he sends an alert. He opened and he discovered that it was just text message that is saying you are invited for an interview for the position of a general manager in an organization. He was very happy because he was attending toward church or mosque where he can actually pray very well. When he got to the camp, there's a place in the camp called Park C. When he got there, he was trying to park somewhere, and one man told him, don't park there. He was exchanging words with the man. He argued with the man for like 15 minutes. If any one of you on this forum were to be there, you will have concluded in your mind that this is a demonstration of shame, is a show of shame. Eventually, the man parked where he's not supposed to park, and he had to trek like 7 minutes to enter into Hood Auditorium of the redemption camp. He got there, he joined the program. Early in the morning, around 4 a.m., he started his vehicle again. When he got there, but this man told me, if I park here, I am not going to see my car, or somebody will have dented my car. He checked this car, nobody dented his car. He started the car, it was moving, he got home, he ate his food, he enjoyed himself with his family early in the morning on Monday at 11 a.m. He was at that company. Now, when they got there, because he was invited with other 4 other people, there were 5. So they gave them examination or pre-interview test. He did his own, just 30 minutes. When they were coming into the hall, it was the 3rd person. So the first person was taken to the boardroom. When that person got there, he discovered that it was a panel interview. Panel interview is where you have the panelists to be more than one, right? There were 5 there. So the first person did his interview, he left. The second person did his interview, he left. One thing I know is that the owner of the company likes Abode London, somebody who, you know, migrate from America or UK, right? So it was the turn of this guy the third guy. So he entered there, Bolaji Koka. As he entered there, discovered there were 5. The first person happened to be the HR manager. The second person happened to be the head of operations. The middle man is the MD. The fourth man happened to be the general manager who had resigned and wanted to take a bow out of the company. The fifth person I cannot remember at the moment. So he took a bow, he got there, the man at the middle, look at his face and look at the CV. And the man said, your name is Bolaji Koka. This candidate said, yes, I am Bolaji Koka. Do you drive on a Xterra Jeep? The man said, I have a Xterra Jeep. The number registration number is OP126QR. The man said, you are very correct. Were you at the redemption camp this last Friday? Yes, I was there. 6:35 p.m. Nigerian time, you were there? Yes, I was there. Were you in any time had an altercation with a young man in black trousers with top white? The man said, you are very correct. They asked you not to park your vehicle so place at Pasi, and you forcefully parked your vehicle there. Yes, I did. Young man, the interview you are here for is already concluded. You are done it at that redemption camp on Friday. Good day. Have a nice time. That was the end of the interview. This interview is a funny one. What do you have to say about it? This is one of the 200 stories I tell the young ones who are coming ahead of us. We are still young to some people too, but we have taken our time to understand mannerism and how our behavior of 3 years or behavior of 3 days ago can affect us at any interview all over the world. So it's important to put ourselves together, you know. The interview you are going for, sometimes technically, it may not even be the reason why they are not picking you. It may be because of your mannerism at the conference or where they have a camera who is monitoring all of you as you are seated. So it is important on our part to understand that when we, the business mogul or the executive, when we want to interview some certain level of people, technicality is not a problem. We know that some people are highly technical, but we want to look at the soft skills. We want to look at the mannerism. We want to look at the behavioral pattern when we want to employ. Thank you for listening to me. I don't know if the story of Bolaji Koka can make a little sense to you.
Thank you very much. It does, sir. Thank you very much. And quickly, let me just add a little bit of addition to Tosan's question. If I also got the question right, she was talking about metrics. She mentioned metrics. Yes, the last class in this program is going to be on HR analytics. And when that day comes, we'll be talking about metrics. But, you know, because you raised it, let me just mention 5 critical metrics, or what you call KPIs in HR, that you begin to, in recruitment and selection. Number 1, you begin to consider your time to hire. Number 2, you consider your time to fill. Number 3, you consider your cost per hire. Number 4, you consider your quality of hire. And of course, number 5, you consider your staff retention rate, especially for those you employ within a given period. Those are basically KPIs or metrics that you can put under your recruitment and selection project and begin to deliberately track them. When you're not able to track your progress, when you begin to retrogress, you won't know. And the reason we track is to guide us, for us to begin to see that we're truly making progress. And I hope that would help you. And it's good that you show interest in metrics, because it helps you to be able to monitor from time to time the progress you are making in what you do. Sorry, does anyone else have any question or any challenge you are faced with at work that borders around recruitment and selection? Go ahead,
Yes, I have
please.
a question. Yes, I I have a supervisor. He's supervising one of our departments. It's a bit difficult. It's very difficult, and he's not. He is not. I don't know how to put it. We've had complaints from his team members that he doesn't know how to supervise. He's very authoritative, like a military person. He comes and he just gives her the rules, and regardless of how anybody feels about it. So we've always had that issue. Even we get complaints from his team members when they come, when they report and we have a meeting with him, he goes back and he starts backlashing them and shouting. So you guys went to report me to the management and stuff like that. He's difficult and he likes to want to have his way. Now we've always had these issues, and the management, I would say my boss, I feel is a bit um sensitive or is a towards him, that he is not thinking of letting him go. And his own policy is, and let's keep talking to him, and let's keep talking to him. He will change his approach when there are issues or when issues comes up regarding their department. It resorts to HRO, let's keep talking and keep talking. But now, what do you think an HRO person can do to handle something like that, to handle that kind of situation? Because it's not healthy, and also it's affecting the workflow, it's affecting the work, because the department is not producing the way it's supposed to be. There are still lapses in that department, and he is not being a good supervisor. That is my opinion. He's not being a good leader for that position. And I feel the management gave him that position because at that point in time they needed to fill that position. So he was lucky enough to be in that position, and they can't let him go of that position, or they don't want to need to replace him. So they're just leaving him there, and he's causing havoc in the system. So how do you think an HR person can handle this? Or what do you think the HR person can do? Bear in mind that the management is not even ready to listen to anything like, oh, this person needs to go. That's not even an approach that the management is even looking into. So what would the HR or what can the HR do about something like that? That is my question. That's one question. Then the question two I have is, I know people keep saying that HRO has to be in everybody's business to be able to understand or know what's going on. Okay, I have a scenario that played in my office. One of our doctors that we employed, that was some months back, during the interview process, we talked about it. Even when we employed her during the induction and the orientation, we talked about everything that is needed or for her to know. Now, there was a scenario that happened just last week regarding the doctor's roster. So she sent me a message, and in the voice note, I got to realize that she is pregnant and she's in her fourth trimester, which the organization, is not even aware of. And she is a Muslim and she's always wearing jalabia and long clothes. So there's no how the HR person would have been able to notice it. You understand? So when I got that information, I reached out to her to give me a letter of notification of pregnancy so we can prepare. And the letter now entails that she's going to end stop work December and start her maternity next month. Now imagine something like this being happened that I didn't get to know that she was pregnant or ready to deliver. It would have affected that position. So going forward, issues like this, how can the HRO handle it? Because it would have been somehow me asking her during the interview or during the orientation if she was pregnant, or if she's ready to, if she'll be getting pregnant anytime soon, or I don't know. So I feel most times it's asking some kind of question during interviews and orientation. I feel most people might see it as HRO is being too inquisitive. So how do we draw the line to know, okay, you are being inquisitive or you are trying to get this information to know how you can plan your just plan the process and all. I don't know if I'm making sense. So that's my question.
Let me quickly tackle the first one while Mr. Kaude will tackle the second one. There are some cases whereby HR managers or HR executives, they are in a position where someone who is higher than them in the system is misbehaving. And it's actually difficult for them to call them to order, all right? Nevertheless, whether a supervisor somewhere is a bit higher in terms of the structure or not, if anybody is very, very radical, and that thing is affecting the job. If the HR manager is higher, you can call that person unofficially and advise the person. When you're advising the person, don't do it in a way that the person, it will be derogative, okay? Or downgrade the person, no, all right? Now, if that person is higher, for example, that person is a very senior, I have 7 hospitals under me. I employ one medical director. Out of the 7 medical directors I have, 1 was very bad. It was a wrong guy. So the woman usually talk to me very well. I mean, we relate. And, you know, like a brother and sister, I've guided her. I've done a lot for her to change, to get better. She was not getting better. Then I can't rebuke her. Therefore, I spoke with the COO and the group medical director, who are direct boss to the woman. You know, not to report the woman, but how can we help this woman? This is what I've discovered. Do you know for 9 months, we were not able to help this woman? If you help her on Monday, on Tuesday, she has caused another trouble. At the end of the scenario, okay, we have removed the woman and take her to another business unit where she's no more the HR now, I'm a medical director. She's now something else. Okay, so you need to, how can we help somebody who is not all right? It is our job. But when you want to help somebody whose leg is broken, you don't go ahead and use hammer to straighten the leg. You have to boil water, get napkin, and use it to touch the leg in a traditional way. You take the leg to the doctor. All right. So that's, again, if we've been talking to somebody and the person is not eating, let's give the person short time. Management will demote the person or will remove the person. It's not difficult. But our job is to make people better. But when you have tried very well and somebody is not getting better, the time is at hand when such person shall be dealt with by the executive management. So that is that for now. Mr. Kawade, the second one.
Oh, God, that's how you are setting me up. Thank you very much, sir. Let me say from the first one, the person is domineering, is bossy, is not helping his team members. The first thing you do is there a competency framework to determine the knowledge, skills, and attributes that are required for that role? If there is, are there gaps you have identified? If there are gaps you have identified, the first thing you need to do is to start with coaching or mentoring, depending on the level and the connectedness. If it's not happening, then you may consider training. Training based on the fact that you have identified certain gaps. The reason we have trainings is not just to make people happy that we're training them. Trainings are interventions to enhance people's capacity to deliver on their roles. And the moment you become a supervisor or a manager, you are no longer a technical person. You are more of a people manager. So we need to be, probably this person is strong technically, but the soft side of it, the person is weak. So what we need to do first is, we have identified a gap. Let's begin to think about interventions that we can put to use to help the person bridge the gap. It is after we have done everything to help the person and the person is not yielding that we can begin to consider letting go of the person. But for us as HR, letting go of the person is never the first consideration for us. I just wanted to say that for the pregnant doc, it's very simple. Number one, I don't know whether you do employment tests when you want to bring people in. I once worked in a place and a lady came for an interview, and straight on, I saw that she was pregnant. But she was so good that she gave birth in November. She was supposed to, she gave birth in, we gave her an offer, and she said to me straight, she said, I'll be due in December. We gave her the offer in November. And I said, don't worry, I'll keep that slot for you. She gave birth in December. January, she resumed. Yes, it was a bit tough, but spoke to the manager. They were able to manage. Now, this is the idea. Do you have what does your recruitment policy say about the employment of pregnant people? And what does your maternity leave policy say about at what time people are qualified to go for maternity leave? I'm saying this because I once employed someone that we all did not know was pregnant. And she came in, but because there was a policy that says that for you to be entitled to full paid maternity leave, you must have been with the hospital consecutively, consistently, or continuously for 9 months. It means that if you join us today and you take in tomorrow, you would enjoy your full maternity leave benefits. But if you took in a week ago, and as at the time you are going for mat leave, you have not done 9 months, you can't. So what did we do? We staggered it. We now said that if you have done 6 months, you will enjoy, I think, 75% paid maternity leave. Or if you have done 3 months, you will enjoy 50%. We staggered it in such a way to make it look like we're not, so that it doesn't look like, oh, you people are not being human. But the idea is your policy is what will guide you. But I say the truth to you, if there is no policy, there's nothing you can do to that person. If you do anything funny, the person will take you to court and the person will win because it will be taken that you are discriminating. At the point of your maternity, of your pre-employment medical test, one of the things you test for is for pregnancy. They conduct pregnancy test. And when this person is pregnant and you don't want to employ the person because the person is pregnant, please, you don't need to say you are pregnant. You may just say, look, based on the realities on ground and some considerations, you cannot proceed beyond this stage for now. Or if you can still hold on for a bit, you can say, look, we can hold on for till this period. But be careful not to be too nice at the detriment of your organization. Because you may think you are being friendly. Every word you speak, these people are taking stock of it and they can use it against you. So you must actually be on the side of the law of your policies. What does your policy say? If the policy does not exist, today I encourage you, go and start developing that policy. And let it be inside the staff handbook about what that if you are not going to recruit pregnant people, please don't put it in your recruitment policy. It won't fly anywhere. But in your maternity leave policy, you can stagger it. You can be very specific. And you are not saying the person cannot go on mat leave. The Labor Act makes provision for mat leave. But you can only say that, look, for you to enjoy the full pay, these are the conditions. And the NICN also recognizes that certain conditions hold true in various organizations. So please pay attention to that. Put your policies in place and you can never miss it. And if you don't know, she was wearing hijab. You cannot go under hijab and you can't ask, are you pregnant? If you ask, are you pregnant, then you can be seen as being discriminatory. But put your policies in place. That is what will guide you. And for women, some women are like witches. By looking at the face, they know who is pregnant. You just need to know whatever you cannot pick. Let your policies speak for you around that. That is my position on that. Except Mr. Gabriel, since Susan works in an hospital, Mr. Gabriel has been in the hospital for like 6-7 years. He must have had such experiences because by a period of 11 years, I've had the experiences as well. But the best thing is the policy is the best cover you can ever have. Once there's a policy, you are covered, then you cannot begin to implement your policies. I guess that answers your question, Susan. So, any other question? Thank you. Any question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Uten Yavala.
Yeah, good afternoon, class. So,
good afternoon.
Yeah, my question is not really based on recruitment and selection, but I think it covers it a bit, maybe a bit of workforce planning. So I work in a logistic company, and we've been having issues of information, and I have tried to advise the management to actually recruit more staffs, as I feel we need more staffs in terms of our other offices, but they are not actually seeing into that. So my question is, how can I be able to convince these people that we actually need more staffs? Because we have a US office, and as a logistic company, we usually ship from the US down to Nigeria. Most of our Nigerian problems usually is to emanate from the US. Maybe not passing the right information, or maybe they've mislabeled someone's package. So I was discussing with my manager. I was telling him, I think we need a quality assurance person and a customer service person, but he's not seeing it that way. He's seeing it from the perspective of, if he comes here, then we do the quality assurance, and we also do we do any other thing that keeps those problems away. And I've tried to advise, I've tried to give reasons, but they are not seeing it that way. So I don't know if you guys can give me maybe a bit of pointers so that I can be able to maybe convince them, for them to actually see my point of view.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gabriel, over to you, sir.
Said it the way it should be. I was out of the call for a little while because of the pediatrician consultant that called me. It was emergency. So let's stick to what you've told them, except there are other questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Also, I say, Yavala, this is the idea, right? For every issue you have, they must be properly documented. And for every documentation, you do root cause analysis, right? And of course, there's always a correct action plan. And when you do such, what it does, it helps to expose the root cause of the problem. And the only way you can justify to the management for more staff is to provide them with facts. Oh, it takes us time. Our deliveries get delayed. Then begin to show the management a plan that shows that every member of the team has been fully and optimally utilized. And there was no way they could have done anything special. If there is no valid justification, no management wants to employ additional hand. So I think what you need to do now is, if the errors are becoming too much, you document them, put dates, put the specifics. Then we begin to realize that, we need someone to manage our quality control. Okay, if it's taking so long, then we can begin to say, okay, we need an additional hand in operations or whatever it is. That is the only way you can convince management. And trust me, management will not always take your word for it the first time. You need to keep presenting in a more detailed and simple way and continue to talk about it. You may have to talk about it for 6 months, for 9 months, for 1 year before the management will ever pay attention. But the most important thing is keep documenting and keep communicating. You don't have the capacity to approve your own request. And until the management approves it, you keep communicating it. And that's one thing we all need to know. Keep flagging it and keep pushing it. And when you have to go extra mile, begin to bring this thing to them and let them see the implication for work-life balance and for mental health. Connect it to a whole lot of things. Then it gets to a point, the management is able to say, okay, we'll give you one additional person. It can only happen when you document. For those of us who work in healthcare, you will hear documentation. As an HR professional, you can never make any wrong decision if you learn how to document appropriately and accurately. So that's my advice for you. To convince the management, document and draw out inferences. This happened because of this, because of this. If this had been done, this will not happen, this will not happen. Then you're able to look at it and things will begin to move on. I guess, Mr. Gabriel, you may also come from another perspective, but the idea really is we're short of staff, it's affecting the quality of our outputs, and we're asking for more staff. The management is not responding. What can we do for the management to respond? That's the summary of the question.
I've said it all, bro. You've said it all. So because a day is coming that they will say, oh, when you knew that we were short, what did you do? You say, I requested. Whom did you request from? How? When? Show us evidence. And if you say you are HR guru, you must be evidence-based HR, who can actually show us, I've done this, and these are the evidences. So, Mr. Kawade has said it all. That's just it. Document is important.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Final, any other question?
Yes, I
Go
want to
ahead,
ask a
please.
question on appraisal, but I don't know. I think there'll be a topic on that later. But I want
No, ask it. You have the opportunity now.
Yes.
Ask it now.
Yes, I want
Gabriel
to
is
ask
here.
a question. Yes, so we do KPIs that we give to the supervisors that appraise their team members. Now, so how do the supervisors get appraised? That's the question I want to ask. The supervisors, they appraise the team members, and it is the appraisal of the information we get from the supervisors, areas that we need to look at for the team members. Then when it comes to the supervisor, what should be the right approach to grade their own performance?
Mr. Gabriel, over to you, sir.
I think the reason why you're asking this question is because of the peculiarity of your company. Because for every supervisors in my company, they have managers. And for these managers, they have directors. And for these directors, our CEO is the one to appraise them. The only person who is not appraised by anybody is the CEO, who is at the apex. And let me tell you, the numbers is bringing in, the numbers is bringing in is going to determine what the board of director will do. Somebody is distracting us. The number that the CEO is bringing into the table will determine what the board of directors will do for him. So meaning that at all levels, we have who and who will report to, and those are the people that will appraise us. Now, you may ask me a question. There are some people that they have two people they are reporting to, and this is conflicting one of the 14 principles of FIO that says that you must receive order from one boss, unity of command, right? Now, let me tell you, where you have unit accountants who is reporting to branch manager, and also reporting to the finance controller at the head office, two of them will jointly appraise that person. And that is to tell you that one person is higher than the other person when it comes to that appraiser. The financial controller who posts unit accountant to your branch is the one to appraise, but he will do it in collaboration with that of the branch manager or BC or unit controller or whoever. So I think everybody should have somebody to report to. Whoever you report to is the one who gave you the JD or the KPI, and is the person who is to appraise you. I don't think anybody will not be appraised. It's only the board of directors that will not be appraised. And what we appraise them, we appraise them. The environment, we appraise them.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'll say this straight. I guess it brings to the fore a fundamental problem in that system. And the first question is, how did people under them get their KPIs? The KPIs came from supervisors, I guess. The question is, how did the supervisors come up with these KPIs? Because the total summation of the KPIs of members of my team should determine my own overall performance, because every one member of your team is working for you as the manager. For example, the HR manager is responsible for all HR functions, but he has a recruitment person, he has a payroll person. He gives them KPIs in those areas. but the totality of their own KPIs is his own KPI. And how does the manager get his own KPI? From his own line manager, the person supervising him. And how does that person get? From the CEO. How does the CEO get? From the board. How does he get it from the board? They set their strategic objectives for a period. And they said, this is what we want to achieve for this period. And they give it to the CEO. The CEO brings it to his own management team. And they look at it and they come up with a tactical plan on how to achieve those things. And from there, everybody, for example, the executive director or the management team member that is responsible for HR gets everything that has to do with people retention, people satisfaction, and all those things. And he takes it and cascades it down. So there is no how anyone along the chain will not be assessed, because even the board of directors are assessed by the shareholders when they go for the annual general meeting. So everybody is assessed. But the question is, was there ever a target, a KPI established for the managers at the beginning? If there was not, let's go and rethink our performance management system. Performance management system starts from the top. It starts from the strategic objectives or corporate objectives, whatever you call it. Then it comes down to the managers, and it comes from the managers in each department to everyone working with them. If that is not the order you have, like Mr. Gabriel said, it's time to rethink our performance management system. Performance management is the easiest thing to do, but I realize that it's the most complicated thing to do in Nigerian organizations, regardless of the industry where they are operating from. And the reason is simple. The people at the top do not want to be held responsible, and they do not want to design a strategic plan to provide direction. And until that happens, everybody, whatever performance target you set, will just be mere wishes that will never align with anything. Your performance as a gate man is supposed to be connecting to the strategic objective of the organization. If there's no link between your performance, everything you do on a daily basis, and what the company seeks to achieve at the end of the day, it's a waste of time and resources. And it's something that everybody needs to go back and check. The supervisors are meant to be managed by whoever is managing them. I don't know the designation, I don't know the progression in the organization, but they are meant to be managed by the person above them, who is meant to be managed by the person above them, who is meant to be managed by the person until they get to the topmost level. And that is the way to go. So please, in fact, team members don't have KPIs if managers or supervisors don't have. That's the starting point. And I hope that answers your question. All right. It's been a wonderful time. And I don't know if anyone has any question again. It's 2:04. It's been nice having Mr. Gabriel with us. Mr. Gabriel, we say thank you for sparing your time to be with us. God bless
Thank you for having me.
We would always call on you. We will always come to you. You know now. We always come and pull from your wealth of knowledge. And at some point, when one or two people may need personal selling, coaching, and the likes, we will still reach out. But thanks for obliging us, and thanks for responding to this invitation. Thank you very much. For every one of us, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's class. Hello, Chuku, do you want to say something?
I want to say something.
Okay, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Gabriel. It's been a very wonderful session, as it always is with you, and I hope that as you continue your career progression, that you are thinking greater things even than you expect. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. Frank is the program officer for this our coaching program. He runs behind the scene. And interestingly, Frank works with Mr. Gabriel at the moment. So, you know, it feels cool when you work with a good boss who comes to be part of a program you're part of and is spitting fire. So thank you very much, Franklin. Thank you very much, every one of you, like we've always done. Please, let's take our case study analysis very seriously. And the reason for that is simple. It helps to deepen your knowledge and your understanding of what you studied during the week and what we have discussed in class today. And that way, it will give you this hands-on experience. Mr. Gabriel has been in HR for 20 plus years. You don't need to spend 20 years to get to the level Mr. Gabriel is. You can leverage on the experience. And the best leverage is to look at case studies. Case studies are real-life cases that have been documented. So please, let's go back to our groups and be more active. And we trust that this new week will be very fruitful. Interestingly, week 7, we have 4 weeks to go. And I can assure you, I have seen people who are in HR. I've seen them say things. I've seen them do things. I've seen them engage privately, and I'm excited that people are getting better and people are knowing things better. So we encourage you to keep it and do have a wonderfully successful week ahead. Thank you, and God bless you as you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. You're welcome.